Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and today's video, this is going to be my review of Destiny 2. The game has been out for a week now, and I decided to finally get around to doing my review. I've always had plans to do a review of this game, but I just didn't want to just jump the gun and do it day one in case that, everyone was either one, spamming it and just, flooding your sub boxes with the same type of video, and two, I didn't want to also have a bad first experience because going into the game at a midnight release on a school day would probably make me feel a little bit stressed out and probably have some form of bias towards the game, so I just didn't want to do that. I just tried to avoid any complications. I just wanted to do it under my own control, when I was ready for it, so I just wanted to make sure that there was no problems with that either. And I feel like that this game is kind of in a gray area in terms of my channel. I wanted to let you guys not only know that I like the game, but I'm also not doing this just for the views, because I've always liked the first Destiny ever since I got into it, even though it was late, and I do definitely like Destiny 2 right now. So I want you guys to know that I do, yes, like both Destinies, and I do like the series, and I'm not doing this just for views, because I feel like that there is some people that think that people do this just for views, just because it's a new game, but I'm not. I'm doing this because I actually like the games. I do like Destiny 2, and I do like Bungie, so I'm going to be talking about the things that I do and don't like about the game, or in this case, the good, bad, and the dirty about... Yeah, do you see what I did there? Panic at the Disco reference? Okay, never mind. Anyway, so I'm basically going to be talking about the things that I do, don't, and, do consider kind of, like, really ridiculous about the game. So, I'm just going to be talking about the good, then the bad, then the, I'm not going to do it again. But obviously the good and the bad, and, yada yada with the game. So, let's talk about the things that I do like about the game. So the first thing that is right away something that stands out to me that I like about the game is that it's definitely an improvement from the first Destiny. The first Destiny was a good game, and it was a good place to start, but it's definitely not perfect. It's definitely not a end-all situation. It's not like saying like this is the best game ever, the game was 100% flawless. No, that's not the case. Destiny 1 did have problems, but Destiny 2, in my opinion, is I don't want to feel like it's technically a insult, but I mean, I'm trying to word this the best way I can so it doesn't come across as an insult. It's supposed to be a compliment, but I'm pretty sure people will take this as an insult. The game doesn't necessarily feel new to me. It feels just like a better Destiny 1. Destiny 2 really is just like a improved Destiny to me. It just seems like Destiny 1 but with all the problems fixed. The game has, yes, it has innovation and it has new stuff, but the game also seems relatively the same. It's kind of got the same gun, same flow, same, type of atmosphere, story, characters, stuff like that. It doesn't really feel too different. So when I loaded up Destiny 2 and stuff like that, it really just kind of felt like I was playing Destiny again, but with new content here and there, and improved content on past stuff, and fixed the problems and stuff like that. So the game really feels just like a better Destiny 1, not to insult the game or anything, because it's definitely not an insult. It just is obviously like a just better game. It's just an improvement upon what they've already made. They didn't fix something that didn't need to be fixed, like people sometimes do. Like, for example, as Call of Duty, they tried to fix something that wasn't broken that ended up just breaking the game. Having Call of Duty with exosuits is like having Titanfall with boots on the ground. It just doesn't make sense. So, like Destiny, they stuck with what they were good with, and they didn't necessarily swap too much of what they were originally doing. So they kept the game relatively the same, but also made it feel new, which I'm glad. The next thing that I like about the game is that the game definitely has an improved Crucible and story. The game has definitely much better and controlled Crucible, because the game in Crucible for Destiny 1, it was 6v6. It had super fast charge rate in comparison to this game on the supers. The power ammo was a lot more OP and a lot more, like, everyone was just going for the power ammo in Destiny 1, and the game feels a lot more like controlled in this game. It doesn't feel as chaotic. It's 4v4 now instead of 6v6. The game doesn't have as much power ammo or super spam, and it feels just definitely a lot more laid back in comparison. It doesn't feel like everything's a comp match where everyone's just sweating and going try hard, and trying to, basically just get the best KD that they can think of. I mean, sure, there's going to be sweaty people, but at least it will be in less numbers now and like a lot more under controlled circumstances. So the game definitely improved in terms of Crucible, and the story is definitely a lot better too, because the story was kind of vague in Destiny 1. I mean, sure, they did have a decent story, but they didn't have too many cutscenes, they didn't have too many like stories fed to you. I'm not saying that they're baby feeding it to you in this game, but they're definitely a lot more generous with letting you know what's actually happening instead of like making you work for all of it. They're not like hiding it in messages or like papers that you gotta find around the map or based off the lore. It's not all about the lore. You kind of actually have just a normal default campaign with Destiny 2, and it's not like, you know, where you have to find something or basically make a guess. It's more straightforward is the best way I can describe it. It's a lot more laid back in comparison. The Outlast 2 is an example of what I can think of that was a game that kind of messed up their formula. Outlast 1 had a good story, but then with Outlast 2 they decided to make a more lore-based game. They tried to make it where you had to find like papers and notes and journals to find out what the story was truly about, and that kind of made it inconvenient for people because not everybody has the time to dig or look for these things, or not everybody has access to YouTube or whatever. So nobody can just really easily like find out what the story is by looking up on YouTube or grinding for hours and hours to find a piece of paper. So it's a lot more laid back in that sense for Destiny 2, is that they kind of explain the story much better in a lot more easier and relaxed way. The game definitely also has a lot better, I would say, hit detection, less lag, all that good stuff. Not necessarily a problem with that I've noticed. The game doesn't really necessarily feel choppy, even though the game is at 30 frames per second on console, which is kind of annoying. That's one of the more negative things about the game, but it's not too bad to the point where like it's unbearable. But let's talk about the things though that are definitely wrong with the game in my opinion. The game has had lag though, not often, but when it does though, it does seem like that it's for unnecessary reasons. Like, my problem isn't that it lags. Obviously, I just said that the game doesn't lag for me, so what my point is that I'm trying to get across here is that when it does lag, though, is that the lag is almost unexplainable, and I can't really find a really way to fix it. Like, there's moments where, like, I'll be at the tower, or, like, I'll be just chilling, and the game will lag for no reason and disconnect me from the servers, or like I'll literally be doing nothing. I'll be like in my vault, and then the game will automatically send me back to the main menu, sometimes even to my Xbox dashboard, and I've got nothing to explain. My internet will be perfectly fine, the modem will be fine, my friends don't disconnect, my Xbox just kind of like just dies. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. It's just like that the lag is almost like, it's almost unexplainable to the point where like I feel like that just kind of like needs to be explained better, so that way like I know what's wrong with the game. They could do something like Black Ops 3 where they actually revealed the ping on console, where you can see what your tick rate is and whether you have packet loss. That would be a really great improvement to the game. It would be something that would let you know if you're lagging, or if it's on Destiny's end or on Bungie's end or whatever. It'd just be an easier way to let you know really what's happening to your Xbox or whatever you're playing on. Another thing that I don't necessarily like about the game is the 30 frames per second. It's not necessarily the biggest problem, but there has been moments though where like my game has dropped frames, and this kind of goes back to the lag thing. I had a moment where that I was playing in a public event, and I was getting towards the end where they had the final boss, and the boss was spawning in just so many like AI that the game couldn't handle it anymore, and that the game literally was in slow motion. It was Infinite Warfare lag type of slow, and I literally had nowhere to go to avoid the lag. The game was just trying to process and render everything so fast at the same time that the game just couldn't handle it, and it just shut down to the point where like everything was just in super slow motion. I really had 2 frames per second so it was really, really slow, and I really do not particularly like 30 frames per second on console. So that's one thing that's just kind of disappointing, but Bungie's already heard enough about that, so I'm not going to rant about it too much. Another thing that kind of gets a little bit on my nerves, but it's not particularly a problem yet, the game has really complicated like user interfaces, at least in my opinion. I've never really been the type of guy to complain about something like this because it's relatively minor, but it's something that is inconvenient at times. One of the biggest things that I can think of recently, I mean, unless I'm just blind, but like there's just times where like I'll be trying to read something, and I don't know whether I'm skim reading it or I'm blind or whatever, but there's times where I'll read something and I flat out know in my head, at least what I'm thinking at that moment it is, that there's something on the screen, and then when I do it, it's completely different from what I read on the screen, or like what I intended to do that I thought was actually going to happen. I've had moments where the game will, give me a message, and then the fine print suddenly pops up technically, and like there's a follow-up thing that I have to do, and I'm like, where the heck did this come from? The AI, it just doesn't really know how to explain things properly, in my opinion. Like, the game really just does not know how to get to the point. It just kind of like leaves you in the dark. That's the one thing that happened with the original Destiny, in my opinion. It kind of left you in the dark, but it definitely is not as big of a problem in this game, but they do have that with like the user interface still, and that's kind of an issue for me. I kind of have a hard time getting around places and stuff like that. Another thing that I kind of have problems with the game, and this is going more towards like the really bad problems with the game, is that the game doesn't necessarily feel like that it's going to, how should I say this, it's not really going to keep the interest of casuals. The game, I know, has always been about grinding, and I know that Destiny is like about trying to rank up, try to get enough of light level, try to be able to compete in the raids and the strikes and get weapons and everything. I know the thing is a giant grind fest, and I knew that going into Destiny. But my one problem that I feel like is going to be an issue on the long run side of the game, this is kind of what happened with the original Destiny, is that the game won't be worth grinding anymore. It won't be worth trying to continue to earn exotics, or try to continue participating in raids, or try to play the DLC or the expansions or whatever. It doesn't feel like that the game is intending to, it's not intending to keep the casual majority of the base. It's really intending just to keep the tryhards that, play the game 24/7. And I know I'm a tryhard at games, and I'm definitely a tryhard at Destiny 2 right now, but it doesn't really feel like that the game is going to accommodate for my more relaxed side of gaming. Like, I want to play the games that I play not only sweaty, but at the same time I also want to play them casually, on occasion. But this game doesn't really look like it accommodates for that. This game really looks like something that I can only participate in if I'm really 100% trying, like I'm playing a comp match. So, I mean, it's definitely a lot of work, and when you have a job now like I do, or you have school, or, both of them at the same time, it can be really a pain to be able to even get on the game to get a decent set of stuff to even be able to get ready in this time frame that they have. Like, for example, with the raid, I've barely been able to get just a barely enough light level to be able to participate in the raid, I believe. So I'm hoping that I will be able to participate and be able to do it, and you'll be able to get things done in the raid. But I've been working and doing school, and I feel like I can't really get up to the max light and stuff that I want to, if you know what I'm saying. Alrighty guys, so this is going to be the end of the video. I hope you guys did enjoy hearing my thoughts and opinions about the game. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments. I really want to hear what you guys have to say. Let me know what you don't like about the game. Let me know what you guys are doing in the game currently, like whether you guys are trying to grind out light levels, playing the game casually, trying to complete the story. Just let me know your full out experience with the game so far, because I'm really curious. I like interacting with you guys. So anyways guys, like I said, if I haven't said it already, this is going to be today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy, and if you want to see more, feel free to like and subscribe. But anyways guys, I will see you all in the next one. Peace out, fleshy mammals.